Hello, I'm Ian Brannan. Once again on our shows this week, another very special guest with us, and to tell us all about the British Wireless for the Blind Fund and the work that they're doing, both in the past and heading into the future and embracing new technology, is their Deputy Chief Executive, Julie Tobin. And they're working on some really impressive new technology, but also a bit of information on how the British Wireless for the Blind Fund can help you or a family member if you have someone who is blind or partially sighted in your family, because there's lots of help and gadgets available to make life a little bit easier. But first of all, let's welcome her to the show. Hello, Julie Tobin. Thanks for joining us.
Hello there. Nice to meet you virtually.
And, yes, and you too. Well, first of all, start by telling us a little bit about the British Wireless for the Blind Fund. Many people may be well aware of your work already, and perhaps some not so much. But tell us how it all started and the thinking behind it.
British Wireless for the Blind Fund actually started in 1928, so I think we're some 9 years younger than the Erskine Veterans charity. The person who founded British Wireless for the Blind Fund was actually blinded during the Boer War. And he was in hospital with little or nothing to do. And his friends visited him and decided to rig up a radio for him using various bits of metal and the radiator. You can only imagine how that would go down nowadays in health and safety in the hospitals if one tried to do that. So literally, I think he then, from his personal experience, saw the value of radio and what it actually meant in terms of, especially if you were sort of a blind or visually impaired person. I think we'll agree that a lot of us will think that radio, even nowadays, has a very personal relationship with its listeners in the way that maybe some other media doesn't. So literally, he started up British Wireless for the Blind Fund. I believe it was Winston Churchill who did the first radio broadcast at Christmas, looking to sort of raise funds to facilitate the buying of and delivery of these radios. So that is literally how it started, very simple, from somebody's very personal experience of of losing their sight and needing to sort of that companionship of radio, because obviously radio offers so much in terms of not only entertainment, information, and companionship, really, I think, to people. So that is how it started, very simply, all those years ago.
And radio important as well, because for many who are blind, they have had experience of sight, and so it does invoke these pictures in the mind, doesn't it? The theatre of the mind, if you like, and perhaps takes them on journeys to places.
Very much so. I think, radio is one of those medias that you can have on with you. I mean, I've come from a media background. Before I worked for the charity, I worked for newspapers and magazines and things. We were always very aware that sort of in the media world that radio is something that can be there with you all the time, whether you're driving, whether you're in home in the kitchen or whatever. It really does sort of have a very personal relationship with the listener, and is very important. And radio has been at the heart of the charity ever since 1928. Obviously, we're in an ever-changing media landscape, as it were, but radio very much remains at the heart of what British Wireless for the Blind Fund does, though obviously as time has gone on and we have extra ways that we consume audio nowadays, we've added those features in so that our recipients can benefit from, listening to tapes, listening to CDs, listening to USB sticks, on all those and such like. Radio still very much remains at the heart of what we do.
And so tell us about the service that British Wireless for the Blind Fund operates. What levels of service do you provide to those who are blind and need this communication and this link really to the world?
Okay. Well, British Wireless for the Blind Fund, we very much we focus obviously on blind and visually impaired people, and we basically we provide a free service to, I suppose, really the very poorest of the blind and the visually impaired community. As a charity, we would love to be able to help many, many people, but obviously we always have to be mindful of, our sort of funds and such like. So basically, if somebody fulfills the criteria of British Wireless for the Blind Fund, which essentially is you have to be registered blind or visually impaired, resident in the UK, aged over 8 and in receipt of a means-tested benefit, you then get a choice of some sets that we have, so that you'd come through to somebody at our head office. You would discuss your listening needs, because people have different listening needs. Some people purely want a radio. That's all they want. Some people obviously would like a radio, but they receive their talking newspapers or their books through a USB stick. So then we have a set that does that. So once you've discussed all your sort of needs, your listening needs, we recommend a set for you. And then a set would be personally delivered to you by a volunteer. We are so indebted to the many volunteers we have, without whom we simply couldn't run our service. And they would then show the person how to use the set, talk them through it, even set up favourite radio stations of theirs, and then obviously then leave them with that. Though we are always a phone call away, so after people have used their set, we try to give them a follow-up call, but we're always a phone call away if they need any help. Obviously, we have had to adapt during COVID, like so many other charities, and so at the moment, sadly, our volunteers are not going out. Hopefully that will change soon. So at the moment, we are actually delivering sets. We're getting sets delivered directly to people, but then they get a follow-up phone call to talk them through how to set up the set, to know that we're at the other end of the phone if they're having any issues with it or they need any help, to do anything. So personal service is very much at the heart of what we do. We want people to know that we're there to help them. It's not just a question of giving them a radio and just see you later.
And so who are you trying to help? And if people are listening to this and it sounds interesting and perhaps either they or a relative or friend, this might be good for them, how can they apply for this help? They can
basically they can come through our website, blind.org.uk, and send over sort of a contact us, or they can phone us up at our head office on 01622 754 757. We will talk through the criteria, we will talk through the sets. So it's very often actually it is relatives or friends of people that will phone us, and just say that we have this person we'd like to help, and we talk them through it. And it's a very simple process, to be quite honest with you. We try to expedite our service as quickly as possible. That's it, very simply.
Let's talk about how people receive the service, because I know that it is a very personal service, and you've mentioned that you would talk through the various different options. But for someone who would be signing up to this and getting involved in some way, what's the process from their point of view? How does it all work in simple terms?
In simple terms, it's just a simple discussion about what do you want the set for. As I said, sometimes people only just want a radio station. Sometimes people would like a radio plus they have other needs. It's amazing how many people still have stacks of tapes and loads of CDs still at their houses, and they want to be able to use them. And obviously more and more people do receive audio books on USB sticks and things like that. And we do have 2 or 3 sets. So we talk them through that, and once it's decided on which particular set they receive, we arrange delivery of the set. As I said, during these times of COVID, that means that we are operating a service called BWBF Connect, which means the set does actually get posted to them. We follow it up with a call, and we will talk through the setting up of the set. Very often you're dealing with somebody, maybe a relative or a friend, who goes round to that person's house and helps set up the set, and one of our regional managers are on the phone, or our volunteers talking them through how to sort that out. As and when we return, hopefully, to normal times, hopefully they're coming back, then our volunteers will actually go out and physically visit people, go into their houses and spend time talking people through the set, setting up their favourite radio stations, showing them round the set in terms of what to do. Obviously, we have sets. Most of our sets have actually been adapted purely for people who are blind or visually impaired. So that there's sort of tactile style sort of buttons and things like that. The sort of colour of the dials are yellow against a sort of a darker background, because yellow is one of the last sort of colours that you sort of see as your sight starts to diminish. So we try to make it as seamless as possible, and that we try to always make people aware that, again, if there's any problems, we're at the end of the phone if you need to call us. Because like with many people, sometimes you might knock something and it knocks off the favourite radio station that you want to listen to, or something is not quite working. And once you have one of these sets, it's on free loan to you for life. And, you know, if something were to go wrong with the set, if it were to get damaged, we would either endeavour to sort of get it repaired, or if needs be, we would replace the set. That's the physical sets. That's something that's always been very much at the heart of British Wireless for the Blind Fund since 1928. And obviously we are moving on to other areas of development for people.
Technology has moved on, even in the last 5 or 10 years. Technology has developed immeasurably. You've gone from cassettes and things like that for talking books to now you can download them on your phone and tablets or computers. And you can take things with you much more easily now than ever you could. How are you keeping up to date with technology and making the technology more accessible for those who are blind or partially sighted?
Very much so. As I say, we very much try to always give an option of choices, like when it comes to the physical sets that we put into people's sort of hands or houses. So at the moment, I think we've got about 3 with a new set in development. So watch this space. Hopefully we'll have some exciting news next year. But obviously we want to sort of level the playing field, I suppose, a little bit of a cliche, but that's really what we want to do. So we've moved into app development. And over the last couple of years or so, we have been working on sort of developing apps. We've released, sorry, get my words straight, put my teeth back in. We've just launched a speech radio app, which is available on Android and iOS. And that basically means where people can download it onto their phones or tablets, whatever you use to move around, because it's very much for very people on the go. And people can actually sort of access sort of radio stations with the use of speech with this app, which obviously is a great help for people, especially if you're blind or visually impaired. You're not having to sort of necessarily worry about press this, press that type of thing. So that's recently just launched for us. So it's very sort of exciting times in terms of what we're looking to do. We've also to actually get some of the talking newspapers through a skill, so people can go onto their various Amazon devices throughout their house and get talking newspapers. Yeah,
the best thing that you can say on the radio now is the A word, and it causes absolute pandemonium everywhere.
It really does, actually. I think there is a way of going on to the A word and actually changing the name of the A word to something else. But I'm possibly not the most technical person in the world, and I haven't managed it. So really, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people a choice. People want things on the go on their phones and their tablets, and that's for anybody, whether you're visually impaired or whether you're not. People want to be able to listen to things on the A word, and some people want physical sets that they sit by their chair and listen to. So we're there to provide those options for people.
Yeah, and I downloaded the speech radio app, and it does look really good, and really obviously quite clear for those who are partially sighted or blind, and you know the basic gist is that all the things that you would normally have to click and press on an app, you can just talk to it and tell it what you want it to do, and it gets you there. So that's a really great idea.
Yeah, no, it's good. As I say, we try to sort of engage with as many people as possible, you know, like our target audience. And we're always very interested on feedback, especially in the area of our apps, because it's a completely new thing for us. We've been doing radios and sets for years and years. So if anybody were to download any of the apps we do, either the talking newspaper one or the speech radio one, and they've got any feedback or anything they think we've missed, please do get in touch, because they're an ongoing, as you know, apps are an ongoing development. You don't just develop an app and then leave it and go. It's an ongoing sort of growing situation.
And as we're heading towards the future, then there's as you say, there's lots of things coming up. There's going to be further development of apps and other products that people will be able to discover in good time, and also a partnership between ourselves at the Erskine Veterans Charity and the British Wireless for the Blind Fund too. I know that the two work very, very closely, and looking to do so even more so in the future. Very much so. It was great to sort of work and to get sort of some of the Alexas, she says very quietly, into the veterans' homes, and so for them to be able to use, to listen to the radio stations, to listen to their talking newspapers, and such like. So it's really good when you sort of have these close partnerships, and we're working very closely with people who are also really trying to do similar things to yourselves.
and also then you get great feedback. And I believe the project's worked very well so far.
We're mentioning Q and Review as well to get that message out about the talking newspapers and things too. So it's been fantastic speaking with you, Julie. Thanks a lot for joining us and telling us all about what it is that you do. And if people want to find out more about British Wireless for the Blind Fund, just those contact details once again on where to go for all the information.
Sure. Well, to actually go onto our website, which is www.blind.org.uk. Alternatively, you can call us on 01622 754 757. We're always sort of open to sort of helping people. And also any feedback that anybody's got if they're actually using sort of either the Alexa skill we use or the apps especially, because as I say, it's a new area for us and we very much want to get it right for the people that we look to help.
And the app, if you want to download it, I think you type in British Wireless for the Blind Fund and it will take you there. But it's called Speech Radio, the app, isn't it?
There's Speech Radio. It's available on Android and iOS. And we also have a Talking Newspaper app as well. And also the Talking Newspapers is available on Alexa. And as I say, that we've especially worked with Q and Review recently. And so to get all of the Scottish titles up on that on the phone app and on the Alexa, of which there's at least 29 apparently. So there's a wide range.
Wow, that's a good selection, isn't it? Brilliant stuff. Well, all the very best for the future. Before we finish off, Julie, if we could offer you the chance to pick a song on Erskine Veterans Radio, that would be our great honour. But what should we play?
Okay, right. I actually have gone to the team for this one to see what they say.
Okay.
And basically, the top one seems to be Radio Gaga by Queen.
Well, fair enough. What more appropriate song to play for the British Wireless for the Blind Fund than Radio Gaga by Queen? Fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to meet you, Ian. Thank you so much for your time.